Alright, buckle up folks, because we're about to dive into one of the most ridiculous football stories of the decade. And trust me, I don't use the word ridiculous lightly here. We're talking about a manager so crazy, so unhinged, that he makes Jurgen Klopp look like a librarian reading bedtime stories. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Hansi Flick, the German mad scientist who's currently turning Barcelona into the most entertaining and slightly terrifying football experiment since someone decided it was a good idea to let goalkeepers use their hands. Now let's set the scene here. Remember Barcelona just a year ago? No Messi, financial disasters, a squad held together by duct tape and prayers. They were supposed to be in a rebuilding phase, which is football speak for we're gonna suck for a few years. Deal with it. But then they hired this absolute maniac from Germany, and suddenly they're not just winning, they're doing it in the most bonkers way possible. Flick's philosophy is simple. Defense is boring. Possession is overrated. The only stat that matters is how many times the ball hits the back of the net. He's got Barcelona playing like they're on 10 Red Bulls, pressing so high that his defenders are basically playing as auxiliary strikers. It's like watching someone play FIFA with the ultra attacking button permanently stuck on. And here's the kicker. It's working. Against all logic, against all conventional wisdom, this team that was supposed to be in crisis is now top of La Liga, cruising in Europe and scoring goals like they're going out of fashion. They're not just winning, they're doing it with the kind of reckless abandon that makes purists clutch their pearls and tactical nerds have nervous breakdowns. But wait, it gets better. This is the same Hansi Flick who got fired from the German national team in the most humiliating way possible. We're talking first German manager ever sacked levels of humiliation. Most guys would crawl under a rock after that. Not our Hansi. Oh no. He dusted himself off, walked into Barcelona and said, "Hold my beer." Now before we go any further, if you're enjoying this story of footballing madness, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button, because trust me, this is just the appetizer. The main course is gonna blow your mind. So how did we get here? How did a guy who was supposedly washed up turn Barcelona into this high-octane, no-breaks football machine? Well, let me tell you, the story is even crazier than you think, because Hansi Flick isn't just some random crazy person. There's method to his madness, a lifetime of proving people wrong, a career built on taking risks that would give most managers heart palpitations. We're talking about a guy who had his playing career destroyed by injuries, worked his way up from the lowest levels of German football, was the secret weapon behind Germany's 7-1 demolition of Brazil, took over Bayern Munich as a caretaker, and won everything. Got fired from his dream job with Germany, and is now pulling off the most unexpected comeback since Lazarus. This isn't just a football story, this is a full-blown redemption arc that Hollywood wouldn't dare write because it's too unbelievable. And we're just getting started, because here's what you need to understand. What Flick is doing at Barcelona isn't just unusual, it's revolutionary, it's dangerous, it's the kind of approach that could either win them the treble or see them lose 6-5 to a mid-table team on a rainy Tuesday night. There is no in-between, and that's why you need to stick around, because in the next sections we're going to break down how Flick's near-death experience as a player shaped his philosophy, the secret behind his insane pressing system, why his Bayern Munich team was even more terrifying than you remember, how he's getting the best out of players everyone had written off, and whether this madness can actually last. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and prepare yourself for one of the wildest football stories in recent memory. Because trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. Let's rewind the tape to where this insanity began. Because Hansi Flick wasn't always the tactical anarchist terrorizing Europe. Once upon a time, he was just another kid dreaming of football glory. Until his body decided to betray him in the most spectacular fashion possible. Picture this, young Hansi, a hard-working midfielder at Bayern Munich in the late 80s. Not flashy, not a superstar, just the kind of player who did the dirty work while more talented teammates got the headlines. The football equivalent of that one friend who always volunteers to be designated driver. But here's the tragic comedy. His knees were apparently made of stale pretzels and wishful thinking. By 28th, boom, career over, done, kaput. Most people would take this as a sign to open a bakery or become an accountant. Not our Hansi. Oh no. This man looked at his shattered dreams and said, Fine, I'll just become the Joker of football tactics instead. His coaching origin story makes Batman's look tame. Started at tiny TSG Hoffenheim when they were still paying players in bratwurst vouchers. Took them up a division while everyone was busy not noticing. Got sacked because football is cruel, but instead of crying into his beer, he spent years studying the game like it was the Da Vinci Code. Then comes 2006, Germany needs an assistant coach. Flick gets the call like, wait, people remember I exist? For 8 years, he's the secret sauce behind Joachim Löw's success. The brains behind Germany's infamous 7-1 Brazil demolition. The tactical mastermind players feared because his training sessions were harder than actual wars. But here's the kicker. When Germany lifted the World Cup in 2014, Flick got about as much credit as the guy who inflates the match balls. Football's version of a ghostwriter. Could have been bitter. Instead, he vanished into the shadows like a tactical ninja. Until Bayern Munich came begging in 2019. And this is where it gets delicious. Bayern were a mess. Their manager got sacked mid-season. They needed a temporary fix, someone to keep the seat warm until they found a real coach. Enter Flick, stage left, looking like someone's confused uncle who wandered onto the pitch. What happened next was the greatest hold my clipboard moment in football history. In 6 months, turned Bayern from crisis to invincible, won the Champions League by humiliating Barcelona 8-2. Yes, his current team created a pressing system so intense it violated several Geneva conventions. Basically invented the term murder ball. Then, because football loves a good plot twist, Germany came calling again. Remember that World Cup you helped us win? Want to ruin your legacy? 9 months later, the first German manager ever fired. Ouch. Which brings us to Barcelona in 2024. A broken team, low expectations. The perfect place for a madman with something to prove. Because here's the truth they don't tell you. Flick's entire career has been building to this. Not despite the failures, but because of them. Every setback, the injuries, the Hoffenheim sacking, being Löw's invisible man, the Germany disaster, forged a manager who doesn't fear risk. Who plays football like he's got a vendetta against conventional wisdom. And right now, he's making Barcelona the most dangerous underdog story in Europe. Coming next, the tactical insanity behind Flick's defense is optional philosophy. How he turned Barcelona's leftovers into a gourmet meal. Why his Bayern team was actually more terrifying than you remember. The one glaring flaw that could destroy everything. Oh, and if you're not subscribed yet, what are you even doing with your life? This story gets wilder. Alright, let's get into the meat of why Hansi Flick's Barcelona is the most entertaining train wreck football revolution since someone decided, hey, let's make goalkeepers wear gloves. Because what this man is doing shouldn't work. By all traditional football logic, it can't work. And yet, here we are. The screw defense will just score more. Dr. Flick's tactical blueprint reads like it was written by a 12-year-old on a sugar rush. The high line from hell. Barcelona's defensive line isn't just high, it's practically playing in the opponent's penalty area. Their center backs position themselves so far up the pitch, you'd think they're trying to get into the other team's group photos. It's the football equivalent of playing Russian roulette with 5 bullets in the chamber. But wait, cry the tactical purists. What about counters? Flick's response, what about counters? If they score, we'll just score again. Problem solved. Pressing like you owe them money. Flick's pressing system doesn't just disrupt opponents, it psychologically breaks them. Imagine being a midfielder, you've just received the ball, and before you can even look up, there are 3 Barcelona players sprinting at you like you just insulted their mothers. It's not pressing, it's a coordinated assault. The stats are ridiculous. Barcelona regained possession in the final third 40% more than under Xavi. They forced 22% more turnovers than any other La Liga team opponents, complete 15% fewer passes against them. The who needs a midfield? Innovation. Traditional Barcelona, slow build-up, 500 passes before reaching the box. Flick's Barcelona, LOL, just yeet it to the attackers. Their center backs, yes, the defenders, lead the league in. Progressive passes, key passes, long balls completed. Meanwhile, the actual midfielders are basically just there for decoration. The secret sauce, controlled chaos. Here's where Flick outsmarts everyone. This isn't just mindless attacking. There's brutal efficiency hidden in the madness. The Lewandowski loophole. Everyone wrote off Lewandowski as too old. Flick took one look and went, hold my beer, by letting him drop deep and play make. Like at Bayern, he's unlocked. 22 league goals, top scorer, 9 assists, career high. The angriest celebration face in football, Rafinha. From flop to phenomenon last season. Maybe we should sell him. This season, how is he everywhere at once? Flick turned him into a roaming chaos agent who cuts inside overlaps, tracks back, sometimes, basically breaks all positional rules. The teenage midfield general Gavi, 19 years old, is playing like a 30-year-old war veteran. Under Flick, 4.3 tackles per game. Top 5 in Europe, 88% pass accuracy, unlimited shithousery, the glaring flaw, because of course there is. For all the brilliance, there's one tiny problem. This system is one bad game away from complete disaster. Exhibit A, that 4-4 collapse against Atletico where Barcelona led 4-2 in the 85th minute. Flick refused to park the bus. Atletico scored twice in 3 minutes. Everyone lost their minds. Exhibit B, the 3-3 versus Celta where Barcelona's high line got shredded. Their keeper had to make 8 saves. They still almost won. This is Flick's gamble. Sure, we'll concede stupid goals, but we'll score even stupider ones. Why it's working, for now. Sheer fear factor teams are so terrified of the press that they panic before Barcelona even touch them. Fitness levels that should be illegal. These players run more than marathon runners. Rumor has it Flick's training includes 5-a-side with rabid dogs. Preseason in active volcanoes, recovery sessions consisting of just walk it off, the X Factor, pure unadulterated vibes. This team has that we're all insane and loving it energy. Watch their celebrations. It's like they're surprised every goal counts. Coming next, how Flick's Bayern team was even more terrifying, the dark art of his man management. Why this could all collapse by Christmas. And yes, more Lewandowski rage faces. Let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. The fact that we've seen this movie before, and it ended with Bayern Munich treating Europe's elite clubs like they were toddlers trying to play in the Champions League. The Bayern years, a masterclass in footballing violence. When Flick took over Bayern in 2019, they were 4th in the Bundesliga playing like they'd never met each other before. About as threatening as a pillow fight 6 months later, they became the most terrifying team of the decade. Here's why Barcelona's current run feels like deja vu. 1. The pressing machine from Hell Bayern under Flick didn't just press. They committed football war crimes. Opponents averaged 28% less possession against them, forced 40% more high turnovers than any other UCL team, ran 12 kilometers more per game than previous season. Sound familiar? It's the exact same blueprint he's using at Barcelona, just with more tiki-taka lipstick on the pig. 2019 Lewandowski. Maybe he's past his prime. 2020 Lewandowski. Scores 55 goals like it's nothing. 2024 Lewandowski. Hold my beer. Flick's secret. He uses strikers like cheat codes, lets them roam wherever they want, turns them into playmakers, somehow makes them press like midfielders. The fullback revolution. At Bayern, Kimmich became a midfield god. Davies turned into a human rocket. At Barcelona, Cancelo is basically playing 4 positions at once. Bald's speed stats look like a typo key differences, or why Barcelona might be even crazier. The no DM experiment Bayern had Thiago Alonso to clean up messes. Barcelona, what's a defensive midfielder? Even higher defensive line Bayern's line was high. Barcelona's line is practically in the opponent's penalty box. The chaos multiplier Bayern were ruthless. Barcelona are ruthless and unpredictable. The ghost of 8-2. Here's the hilarious irony. Flick's Bayern beat Barcelona 8-2. Now he's using the same tactics at Barcelona. It's like watching a chef who once burned down your house come back and say, hey, let me cook for you again. Why this time might be different. La Liga isn't the Bundesliga. More teams park the bus, less space to run wild the injury time bomb. This system breaks players. Already seeing Pedri's annual 3-month absences. Gavi playing through pain, Lewandowski's age. The real test, Europe. Can this gung-ho approach work against Pep's City, Ancelotti's Madrid, Inzaghi's Inter? What history tells us? Flick's Bayern. Dominated for 18 months, then got figured out. He left before the decline. The big question, is he learning from past mistakes or destined to repeat them? Coming next, the locker room secrets, how Flick manages players. The youth revolution, why La Masia loves him, the looming disaster, when will it all go wrong? Let's address the elephant in the room. This entire Barcelona experiment under Hansi Flick feels like watching someone juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle. It's equal parts thrilling, and this will absolutely end in tears. The case for Flick's madness. Nobody can handle the chaos. Opponents face two nightmares. Try to play out, get pressed into oblivion, sit deep, watch Barcelona's center backs ping 50-yard passes like prime Pirlo. Real Madrid's last derby reaction. We prepared for Barcelona. Not whatever this is. The Lewandowski factor. The man has 24 league goals, age 35. More assists than wingers half his age. The durability of a Nokia 3310. Flick unlocked his final form by letting him drop deep, making him press leader, ignoring all age curve graphs. La Masia's revenge. Gavi, 19. Pedri, 21. Bald, 20. Aren't just playing, they're thriving in roles that would give Guardiola nightmares. Gavi, 4.3 tackles per game, more than Conte ever did. Pedri, creating chances from center back positions. Bald, basically playing left wing and left back simultaneously. The case against this working long term. The injury time bomb current medical reports read like a war zone. Pedri, always one sprint away from another 3-month break. Gavi plays like he's made of vibranium and prayers. Lewandowski, defying biology at this point, the no plan B problem. Flick's stubbornness is legendary. Down 2-0, more pressing, players exhausted, press harder, facing low block, higher defensive line. It's worked, until it doesn't. See Germany collapse. European reality check UCL knockout stages expose. Tactical inflexibility, defensive gaps bigger than plot holes in a Fast and Furious movie, reliance on unsustainable individual brilliance. The verdict, controlled demolition or masterpiece? Best case scenario, win La Liga by 10+ points. UCL semifinal run, become the most entertaining, almost great team since Klopp's Dortmund worst case scenario, February burnout. Lewandowski injury 6-2, thrashing by Man City that makes the 8-2 look tame. Why this matters beyond Barcelona, Flick is testing football's ultimate question. Can you win elite trophies while ignoring 50% of the game? Defense. If he succeeds, changes how big clubs play forever, proves chaos greater than control, makes every cautious manager look obsolete. If he fails, becomes a cautionary tale, confirms traditionalist beliefs, still gives us the wildest highlights reel ever, final thoughts. Whether this ends in glory or disaster, one thing's certain. Flick's Barcelona is the most fascinating football experiment in years. They're either A, ahead of the curve, B, about to crash spectacularly, C, both at the same time. And honestly, that's why we watch. Want more football madness? Smash subscribe, ring that bell. Prepare for our next breakdown, because whether Flick's Barcelona conquer Europe or implode gloriously, you won't want to miss it.